Our love story started with a kidney transplant.
I look at him now, so full of life, and I still can't believe it all started with a decision everyone told me I was crazy for making. To give a piece of myself to a man I barely knew. They said I was throwing my life away, that I had no idea what I was getting into. And you know what? They were right. I didn't know. I had no idea the scariest decision of my life would turn out to be the most beautiful. I had no idea it would lead me here. To him. To us.
Every morning when I wake up, for just a split second, I remember. I remember the fog, the exhaustion, that feeling of being a ghost in my own life. And then I feel this energy, this clarity. It's a gift, one that's literally a part of me now. And the woman who gave it to me, she's right here, sleeping next to me. On paper, our story makes zero sense. It's improbable, it's illogical, but it's our story. And it's real. It all started with a piece of her, and somehow, that became all of us.
1 year earlier, the meet cute that almost wasn't.
It's funny, isn't it? How you can look back at one single moment and see the exact point your whole universe shifted. For me, it wasn't some huge, dramatic event. It was the smell of gasoline and polished chrome. The low rumble of a V8 engine. It was a Saturday afternoon at a car show I almost skipped. I'd been feeling off for months. Not really sick, just drained. Like someone was slowly turning the volume down on my life. I blamed it on work, not enough sleep, the usual excuses. But my buddy Mark was showing off his restored '69 Mustang, and he would have killed me if I was a no-show. So, I chugged a coffee and went. I was wandering through this sea of shiny metal when I saw her. She wasn't really looking at the cars. She was watching the people, with this little smile on her face, like she knew a secret the rest of us didn't. She was standing by a vintage Porsche, a car way out of my league, and she looked just as timeless as it did. Now, I'm not the guy who just walks up to a stranger. I'm the stand awkwardly in the corner and hope for the best type. But that drained feeling had a weird side effect. I just didn't have the energy to overthink. Before I knew what I was doing, I was walking right toward her. I'm sure I said something incredibly clever. Probably, "Nice car, huh? Real smooth." But she laughed. Not a polite little laugh. It was a real, genuine one that made her eyes sparkle.
Okay, confession time. I know absolutely nothing about cars. Zero. My friend, Sarah, dragged me there because her latest crush, a mechanic with a souped-up Camaro, was on display, and she needed backup. For me, it was just a parking lot full of loud, shiny objects. I was people-watching, trying my best to look like I belonged, when this guy walked up. I remember thinking he looked tired. There were faint shadows under his eyes, but his smile. It was electric. It just lit up his whole face. He asked me about the Porsche, and I figured, what the hell, honesty is the best policy. I told him I couldn't tell a carburetor from a catalytic converter and was only there so my friend could flirt with a guy named Diesel Dave. He threw his head back and laughed, this great hearty laugh. He said his name was Alex, and for the next hour, we just talked. Not about cars. We talked about crappy day jobs, the best pizza toppings, movies we both loved, the time he accidentally dyed his hair orange in high school. It was just easy, effortless. It felt less like a first meeting and more like finding an old friend I hadn't seen in years. He had this quiet warmth that just pulled you in. But I could also sense this fragility I couldn't quite name. When he asked for my number, I gave it to him without a second thought. Watching him walk away, I remember thinking, he seems nice. That was it. Just nice. A nice guy from a car show. I had no idea this nice guy was about to have his world completely fall apart, and that mine was about to fall apart right along with it.
The diagnosis: when the engine stalls.
Our first few dates were so wonderfully normal. We got coffee. We saw a terrible horror movie just so we could make fun of it. We walked through a park and talked for what felt like hours. With every conversation, I could feel myself falling for her. But at the same time, that drained feeling was getting worse. The volume on my life wasn't just turned down anymore. It was like someone was hitting the mute button. I started getting these headaches, like a clamp tightening around my skull. My feet and ankles would swell up, which I tried to hide by wearing boots. I was thirsty all the time, yet I felt bloated. I was just wrong. Chloe noticed, of course. She'd give me this little concerned frown and ask, "Are you okay, Alex? You seem exhausted." I'd brush it off. Just a long week. But it wasn't just a week. The final straw came when I fell asleep at my desk at work. Not a little head nod, but a deep, out-cold sleep my boss had to shake me out of. He looked at me with this real worry in his eyes and said, "Alex, go see a doctor." Today, that appointment was the beginning of the end of life as I knew it. Blood tests, urine samples, a million questions. Then came the call. "Mr. Reynolds, we need you to come in to discuss your lab results. Please bring someone with you." That's the sentence that just freezes your blood. "Bring someone with you" is code for "this isn't good news." I asked Chloe. It felt completely insane. We'd known each other for, what, 2 months? It was way too soon for this, way too heavy. But the thought of going alone was just terrifying. She didn't even hesitate. She just said, "Of course. What time?" Sitting in that sterile, beige office, holding her hand, the doctor started talking. Words floated past me like smoke. Proteinuria, creatinine levels, glomerular filtration rate. It was all just noise. And then came the words that cut right through it. "Alex, your kidneys are failing. You have end-stage renal disease." I just stared. It didn't register. I was 28. I didn't smoke, barely drank. How could my body just quit on me? He said it was likely some aggressive autoimmune disorder that had been silently attacking my kidneys for years. The exhaustion, the swelling, the headaches, it was my own body, slowly poisoning itself. He told me there were 2 ways to stay alive: dialysis or a transplant. Dialysis meant being hooked up to a machine for hours, several days a week, for the rest of my life, or until a kidney became available. And the transplant list, he said, was long, years long, especially for my blood type, type O. I felt Chloe's hand squeeze mine. I looked over at her, and the pity in her eyes felt like a punch to the gut. In that 1 second, I just felt like damaged goods. My life, our potential future, it all felt like it had just been handed a death sentence. The man she met at the car show was gone. In his place was a patient, a liability.
I sat there listening to the doctor, and it felt like I was watching a movie. This couldn't be real. Alex, the guy with the electric smile, was sick. Not just a cold, but a life-changing, life-threatening kind of sick. I didn't get all the medical terms, but I understood the look on Alex's face. It was a crazy mix of terror and total disbelief. The color drained from his face, leaving that same tired look I'd noticed from day one. Only now I knew why. My first thought wasn't, "I need to get out of here." It was, "How do we fix this?" I know, it sounds naive. But as the doctor explained the grim reality of dialysis and that endless waiting list, this cold dread started to pool in my stomach. I held Alex's hand, feeling him tremble. I could see his future flashing before my eyes, a life tied to a machine, a life of just waiting. The drive home was completely silent. What could I even say? "I'm sorry" was useless. "It'll be okay" felt like a lie. So I just drove, glancing over at him staring out the window, looking like a total stranger in his own body. When we got to his apartment, he finally spoke. His voice was just flat. No emotion at all. "You should go," he said, without looking at me. "You didn't sign up for this. It's not fair to you." And he was right. I hadn't signed up for this. I'd signed up for coffee and bad movies. But looking at him, so completely broken, the thought of walking away felt like the most horrible thing I could ever do. It wasn't even a choice. Something deep inside me had already decided. I walked over, put my hands on his face, and said, "You are not getting rid of me that easily, Alex Reynolds. We're in this. Whatever this is, we are in it together." I don't know if I said it more for him or for me, but as the first tear finally broke free and rolled down his cheek, I knew I meant it. My life had just taken a hard right down a dark, scary road I never saw coming. But there was no way I was letting him walk it by himself.
The offer, an unbelievable question.
The next few weeks were a blur of hospital hallways and the relentless beeping of machines. Dialysis was my life. 3 days a week, for hours at a time, I'd sit there while a machine cleaned my blood. It left me feeling completely wiped out, like a human dish rag. The guy I used to be was gone, replaced by this pale, exhausted shell of a person. My world just shrank to my apartment and that clinic. My family was gutted. They all got tested, my parents, my brother. Each time the phone rang, a flash of hope, followed by the crushing news: not a match. It was a brutal cycle. Friends would visit, offering platitudes that didn't help and bringing food I wasn't allowed to eat. They meant well, but they couldn't possibly understand what it was like to be a prisoner in your own body. The only light in all that darkness was Chloe. She was just there. She drove me to my appointments. She sat with me during treatments, reading to me or just holding my hand. She learned all my crazy dietary rules: low sodium, low potassium, you name it, and somehow found ways to cook food that didn't taste like cardboard. She wouldn't let me push her away, even when I was at my worst. You know, some relationships get tested over years, little by little. Ours got thrown straight into a furnace. One evening, she came over after a really rough session. She had this strange look on her face, a mix of sheer terror and fierce determination. She sat down with a thick folder. "Alex," she said, her voice almost too calm, "I've been doing some research." She opened it. It was full of printouts from medical websites and organ donation networks. She started talking about blood types and something called HLA typing and cross-matching. She explained that a non-relative match was rare, but not impossible. The odds might be 1 in 100,000, but they weren't zero. I didn't get where she was going with this. I figured she was just trying to give me some hope. Then she looked me straight in the eye, took a shaky breath, and said the 9 words that literally stopped my heart. "I want to get tested to see if I'm a match." I just stared at her. I think I actually laughed, this short, bitter sound. "Chloe, that's insane. Don't be ridiculous." "I'm not being ridiculous," she said, her voice steady. "I am dead serious." "No," I said, shaking my head. "Absolutely not. We've known each other for a few months. You can't just offer me a piece of your body. That is the most absurd thing I have ever heard." "What's absurd?" she shot back, her eyes flashing. "Is watching the man I'm falling in love with slowly disappear when there is a chance, even a tiny one, that I could do something. What's absurd is not even trying. The man I'm falling in love with." She said it. Right in the middle of this crazy argument, she'd just laid her heart out. And it terrified me more than the disease. Her being a supportive friend was one thing. Her being in love with me, it raised the stakes to an impossible level. "I can't let you do this," I whispered, my voice cracking. "If something happened to you, I'd never forgive myself. And I'd never forgive myself if I didn't even try," she whispered back. "This isn't just about you anymore, Alex. It's about us. Let me just get tested, please." I looked at this incredible, stubborn, beautiful woman offering to put her life on the line for a guy she barely knew. It felt like a fever dream. My head was screaming no, that it was too much, too big of a burden. But my heart, my tired, broken down heart, was whispering one word: hope.
That decision wasn't an impulse. It had been growing in me for weeks, starting as this tiny, crazy what if that I kept trying to ignore. But the more I watched Alex fade, the more that seed grew. I saw the light go out of his eyes a little more each week. I saw what dialysis was doing to him. He was fighting, but he was losing. My nights became a rabbit hole of research. I learned that a living donor kidney usually works better and lasts much longer. I read stories of friends, spouses, even strangers donating. I learned all about the risks, and it's major surgery, it's not nothing. But none of that scared me as much as the thought of a world without Alex in it. My friends and family thought I'd lost my mind. "Chloe, you've known him for 3 months," my mom pleaded. "What if you need that kidney someday?" My friends were just as worried. "Are you sure about this? What if you two break up?" I got where they were coming from. They were scared because they loved me, but they couldn't feel what I was feeling. This wasn't a decision I made with a pro-con list. It was just this deep gut feeling that this was what I was supposed to do. It felt like my whole life, going to that stupid car show, talking to that tired man, falling for him in a hospital waiting room, it had all led me to this. It was a choice that felt like it had already been made for me. Getting tested was a long haul. It started with simple blood tests. Alex is O positive, so he can only get a kidney from a type O. I'm O negative. The first hurdle was cleared. My heart was pounding when the nurse told me. It was the first real ray of hope. Then came the intense stuff. Physicals, psych evaluations, meetings with everyone from surgeons to social workers. They grilled me. Is anyone pressuring you? Are you being paid? They had to be sure this was my choice and mine alone. And every time I told them the truth, this was my choice. I had to do this. The final test was the cross-match, the big one, to see if his body would instantly reject my kidney. They told us the results would take a few days. The waiting was pure agony. It was 3 days of just holding my breath and praying.
The call and the surgery, a shared scare.
I was at home, trying to work up the energy to make dinner when my phone rang. It was Chloe. I knew from the second she said, "Hey," that something was up. Her voice was trembling. "Hey," I said back, my own heart starting to pound against my ribs. "What's going on?" There was a long pause. I could hear her take a shaky breath. And then she said the words that shattered my world and rebuilt it all in the same second.
It's a match, Alex. I'm a perfect match.
I just sank into a kitchen chair, the phone slick in my hand. A perfect match. The odds were insane. Doctors had told us siblings only have a 25% chance of being a perfect match. For a stranger to be one was a statistical miracle. It made no sense. It was impossible, but it was happening. Tears just started streaming down my face. Not sad tears. These were tears of pure, gut-wrenching relief. It was like a dam breaking inside me. All the fear and hopelessness of the last few months just washing away. For the first time since that day in the doctor's office, I felt real, actual hope.
When the transplant coordinator called with the news, I made her repeat it 3 times. A perfect match? I kept squeaking. Are you sure? She laughed and said in her 20 years, she'd only seen a non-related perfect match a handful of times. She called it a 1 in a million shot. To me, it felt like 1 in 1. It felt like destiny. After I called Alex, I just sat on my bed and sobbed. Cried from relief, from fear, from the sheer weight of it all. This wasn't a what if anymore. It was a when. The surgery was scheduled for 6 weeks out. 6 weeks until our lives changed forever. The surgeries would happen at the same time in rooms right next to each other. One team would take my kidney out and it would literally be walked down the hall to his room and put into him. Those 6 weeks were surreal. We had meetings where surgeons drew diagrams on us. On the outside, we just looked like 2 young people, but we were planning this massive life-altering event. A new kind of intimacy grew between us, one built on shared fear and shared hope. We made plans for a future that suddenly felt real, and we held each other a lot. The morning of the surgery, we checked in before the sun was up. They put us in pre-op rooms, side by side, both of us in those ridiculous hospital gowns with IVs in our arms. I was terrified. My heart was pounding out of my chest. Alex reached over from his gurney and took my hand. His was just as cold and clammy as mine. He looked at me, his eyes filled with so much emotion I couldn't even name it. "Chloe," he said, his voice thick. "How do I ever thank you?" "You just did," I said, squeezing his hand. "By being here. Now you promise me you'll take good care of my kidney." He managed a weak smile. "I promise." A nurse came for me first. This was it. I looked back at Alex one last time. "See you on the other side," I said, trying to sound a lot braver than I felt. He nodded, his eyes shining with tears. "See you on the other side." They wheeled me into the OR. The lights were so bright. The room was freezing. An anesthesiologist said, "Okay, Chloe, this will help you relax." I felt a cool rush in my arm, and the very last thing I thought was, please, just let him be okay.
The after our new beginning.
Waking up from anesthesia is like trying to swim up from the bottom of a dark ocean. You're just confused and gasping. My first feeling was a deep, throbbing pain in my stomach. My second was a thought, a desperate question that clawed through the fog. Is she okay? A nurse was leaning over me. "Alex, the surgery went great." "Chloe," I croaked, my throat completely raw. Is she okay?" "She's doing great," the nurse said, her voice so warm. "She's in recovery. Her kidney started working for you before we even closed you up. It's a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing." I started crying, which sent a jolt of pain through my stomach, but I didn't care. She was okay. It worked. We were both okay. The first few days were a painful, groggy blur. They had me up and walking the next day, a slow, painful shuffle around the nurse's station that felt like climbing a mountain. The pain was real, but every sip of water I took, every sign that my body was working on its own again, I felt a little more alive. The fog I'd been living in for so long was finally starting to lift. They kept us on the same floor, but in separate rooms. For 2 days, we couldn't see each other. We sent messages back and forth with the nurses. "Tell Alex I'm okay, but my stomach really hurts. Tell Chloe I miss her." It was like passing notes in middle school. The day they finally let me see her is burned into my memory. A nurse wheeled me into her room. She was sitting up in bed, looking pale and wiped out, but she was smiling that real smile of hers. The second our eyes met, we both just started crying. I couldn't speak. What do you even say to that? I just reached for her hand. "Thank you" felt like the smallest, most pointless phrase in the world for what this woman, this near stranger, had just done for me. She saved my life.
In some ways, my recovery was harder. His body was gaining something life-saving. My body had just lost an organ. I felt weak, sore, and so tired. It's a strange thing to go from being a perfectly healthy person to a patient literally overnight. But anytime the pain felt like too much, I would just think about Alex. I'd think of his new kidney, my kidney, working inside him, cleaning his blood, giving him his life back. And somehow the pain would feel manageable. It felt like it had a purpose. Leaving the hospital was a huge day. Alex's whole family was there. His mom hugged me so tight I thought my stitches would pop, crying and telling me I was their guardian angel. We went home to our own apartments, but we weren't really separate. Our recovery was a team project. We were constantly checking in. "Did you take your meds? Are you drinking enough water? How's the pain today?" Our courtship wasn't dinner and a movie, it was comparing scars and talking about medication schedules. The bond between us wasn't just emotional anymore. It was biological. There was a literal piece of me inside of him, a connection no one else could ever really understand. What grew between us in all that quiet time, all that healing, it was stronger than anything I'd ever known. It wasn't just love. It was our shared miracle.
Our life now, the scars that tell a story.
It's been a year since the surgery. A year since Chloe gave me my life back. I look in the mirror sometimes and see the faint scar on my abdomen. It's a scar, but to me, it's a map. It's the starting point for the rest of my life. I have more energy now than I did even before I got sick. The world feels like it's in high definition. I'll have to take anti-rejection meds forever, and we have constant checkups, but it's such a small price to pay for this.
I have a scar, 3 little ones from the surgery. They're my battle wounds. A permanent reminder of the craziest, scariest, and best decision I ever made. Honestly, living with one kidney hasn't really changed my day-to-day life, other than making sure I drink enough water. What has changed my life is him, is us.
Our love story isn't some fairy tale. It was born in a hospital. It started with fear and pain, but it's real. It's a love that was tested in the most extreme way possible, and it came out stronger. Every single day I get with her is a gift. She's my hero. She's my miracle.
He's wrong. We're each other's miracle. That day at the car show, we were just 2 strangers. But fate or luck or whatever you want to call it had a different plan. He needed a kidney. It turns out I had one to share. I thought I was just giving him a piece of me, but I ended up feeling more whole than ever before. Our love story started with a kidney transplant, but it continues with every sunrise we watch together, every laugh we share, with every beat of our 2 hearts now connected forever.
CTA/conclusion.
Right now, there are over 100,000 people on the national transplant waiting list in the US. Over 89,000 of them are waiting for a kidney, just like I was. They're all waiting for a phone call that might never come.
We're sharing our story not because we think we're special, but to show that miracles really do happen. They happen because of the incredible generosity of other people. The decision to become an organ donor is the decision to give the gift of life. You have the power to be someone's hero, to give them a second chance at their own love story.
If our story moved you, please consider learning more about living donation and registering to be an organ donor. One decision can save up to 8 lives and change so many more. It is truly the greatest gift you can ever give. Thank you for listening.